My friends are gonna hate me after this. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are here with a video that will probably get me into a lot of trouble. I know the bookish community can be very forgiving, but at times when, you know, you have differences of opinions with somebody or you just hate a book that everybody loves, in this case, then you kind of get dragged a bit. But you know what? Differences of opinions on books is what makes books interesting and thrive. It's the idea that, you know, we read the same story, we read the same book, we know the same characters, but we just have different emotions towards it, and it's interesting to dive into and to have a discussion with and to have a debate. I am not purposely crapping on your books or your faves that I'm listing in this video because I'm just wanting to hate on things and because I'm such a cool, quirky person and I just want to like hate on everything to get views or things like that. It's literally just me and my personal opinions on the book. So the first book that I would like to talk about that I definitely do not like as compared to all my peers or my friends is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. I like to first and foremost say that I don't like Hazel as a character, and she mainly contributes to the reason why I don't like this book. I find that it gets really hard for me to enjoy a book when there is one specific character, especially if it's a main character, that really grates my nerves. I felt that Christina Lauren was just trying to create this eccentric, crazy, quirky character, and it just made her very unattractive to me as a reader when I was reading it. For some reason, lots of oddball things tend to happen to her. She likes to be the special one in the room where she wears a lot of eccentric clothes. Like, she blurts out a lot of things without filters. Like, it just seemed very unreasonable and highly unlikely that someone could just have that bad of a luck when things happen to her, or someone could be actually that eccentric. Now, this is kind of offensive to a lot of people because I know that a lot of people actually relate to Hazel a lot. They actually connect with her a lot as a character, and I'm not saying that I hate you guys or I hate you specifically. I'm just saying when I'm reading this on page, I think you're better than Hazel no matter what. Like, Hazel will always be here and you guys will always be above. No matter what I say about Hazel and no matter how much you think that you and Hazel are so much alike, there's always that one chunk of difference where you are better than her. And that's just my reasons why I don't like Hazel. I actually felt really bad for Josh as a character, that Josh actually had to date Hazel. I didn't think the story was cute. I think it missed a lot of marks. I think it fell flat in a lot of areas, and I was just really begging for the story to end. If you guys have read this book, you'll know that there is like a lot of twists or a lot of drama like situations happening towards the end of the book. It felt like a cop-out for Christina Lauren to just drive it up a bit and to like make it fast-paced and make it more exciting. It was just not good for me. Christina Lauren can do better, and I'm hoping to read their new book, Twice in a Blue Moon, very soon, so hopefully it's none of this garbage that I'm reading right now. So the second book is The Friendzone by Abby Jimenez. I was told that there is no J in Spanish, but I also don't speak Spanish, and I was never taught Spanish because I'm from Canada, so really I was taught English and French, so please don't at me that I said her last name completely incorrect. So The Friendzone is a bit of a toss-up for everybody. I feel like in the bookish community, you actually either really love the book or you actually just freaking hate it. And I was actually loving the book, and I almost gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars up until the very ending. And if you guys are not familiar with the Friendzone is about a character who suffers this rare condition where she has terrible periods. She, like, her uterus is just not doing too great, and she has trouble with conceiving children, or at least that's what she was told. So she's been living throughout this whole life where she knew that the possibility of having children is going to be very hard for her, and she has to deal with the repercussions of her illness or of her body conditions. And she is going into terms that she will have surgery to fix this problem, to nip it in the bud, so that she'll just, you know, no longer have periods. And that's the setup of the story that we have read, and that is the story that was given to us. Along the way, she meets a guy that is actually friends and best friends with her best friend, fiance or boyfriend or husband, I forget, but well, they end up being friends with each other, although they both would like to do a lot more with each other. But the thing that's really holding the girl back is that the guy really wants to start a family, and she knows deep down that she can't give that to him. So she keeps it a secret until the whole book ends, and then like they get together. But the ending just drove me nuts. It was a complete insult to anybody who dealt with this illness. I know that Abby said that this book was actually based on her best friend and her situation and her likelihood, but when you are marketing this book as a book for all the people who suffer infertility issues, who cannot conceive a child, then you're giving them a hope that they can connect personally with a character that is really representative of their situation. And when you slap an ending like that, it's just basically a slap in the face. I felt horrible for all my friends who actually suffer these conditions, because it was just like an insult. Really, it was just an insult. It was just frustrating to read. I was so visibly upset when I was finishing this book on my commute home from work, because I was like, I want to protect all my friends who suffer infertility and who has these issues and who are actually going through a lot of treatments in hopes of conceiving, and these characters somehow beat the odds. Spoiler. So you can already see that I already got heated over this book. This book is actually one of those books that I choose not to talk about to my friends who actually enjoyed it, because I just get super angry, and I'm very respectful of my friends' opinions of their books. I don't like to make it like push my hate onto them so that we can hate the same thing, you know, turn all their positives into negatives. I'm not like that type of person, but I just personally choose not to read it. The second book comes out next year, and I honestly, I don't know if I'll read. I don't know what I'll do when the second book gets hyped as the first one, but we'll see how it goes. If you guys haven't read The Friendzone, it also ends in this severe dramatic cliffhanger thing for these two other side characters, and it's just a car crash and a mess. So be warned if you are sensitive to a lot of these issues, but do not pick up this book. I cannot stress this enough. So the third book that I actually don't like was actually very disappointing for me, because I really loved the first two books in this series, but it's called The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare. Now, Tessa Dare is an amazing historical romance author. She writes one of the steamiest books, she writes one of the most romantic books, and she always includes heroines that are very smart, and they are very feminist, and they go against the rules even in like historical setting, which is very uncommon in a lot of historical fiction. Usually we get a lot of damsel in distresses, but since we are in the 21st or 22nd century, it's great to read about feminist historical romance characters. So yay, good for us. But this one I was very highly anticipated. It's an opposites attracts kind of novel. She's very different from him. She likes to collect barn animals, or she takes care of a lot of barn animals, and she just likes to help out the animals that can't help themselves. And he, on the other hand, he's just wants to sell the house. He just wants to make the money. He just wants to make a name for himself, and he has no time to take care of this girl and her animals that are basically ruining the sale of the property that he wants to sell. So they collide and they fight their attractions together, and obviously they do end up getting together. But I thought this book was just super strange. It was more the plot that kind of like confused me. It was like it was awkward, it was slow pauses, it just like the things that the characters were saying didn't make any sense. Like it didn't feel like a Tessa Dare novel, and I don't know if this is just me, but if you read this and if you thought that it felt a lot different from another Tessa Dare novel, please validate my feelings and comment down below and let me know. I have yet to go on Goodreads to validate my feelings and read the bad reviews for this book, but so far a lot of people do like it. I see a lot of 3 to 4 stars and saying that Tessa Dare hit it out of the park again, but I really didn't appreciate this one, and I ended up giving it a 2 out of 5 stars. So I apologize to all my friends, either if it's Lacey or Jessica, whoever read this book. I'm so sorry, didn't like it. So now moving on to something a little different, I'll talk about a book that everybody hates, but I actually liked in the end. And the book that everybody hated, or everybody just didn't give it as high as a rating that I gave it, was Waiting for Tom Hanks by, I think, Carrie something, but I'll put her author's name right here because I tend to forget names. But this book is basically, I took it as a joke. Now, like, give me some time to explain. I took it as a joke, as in it was written based on a romantic comedy that was super cheesy and blown up and just dramatic, and you're filled with characters that think too much, that do crazy actions that don't really make sense. And if you walk into a book like that, and if you walk into this book thinking that way, you'll end up enjoying it, because you'll see a lot of all the common tropes and a lot of the cliches that you would see in typical romantic comedies back in the 2000s or back in the 1990s and back to the 1980s even. It's just really cheesy romantic comedy. Like, you can't really take it for a smart literature fiction where the plots are actually really complex, or it actually makes you think with characters that make you think as well. And I thought that this book was smart in a way, because if they did do this on purpose of making the book purposely following a very cheesy romantic comedy, then it is an actual smart book, and that's why I think you should read it. So I didn't end up taking this book seriously, and I read it as the way that I just described it, and I ended up really enjoying it. It was just a fun short read. I think it was like maybe like 200 and something pages. It's not a big thing to go through. Just in case, if you are interested, don't be discouraged by the negative reviews and just read it the way that I told you how to read it, and maybe you'll enjoy it in the end. But anyways, that is it for my whole entire video. I know I listed 2 books, but I don't hate books that often, or I do hate books that often, but these 2 books definitely just set myself on fire, and I wanted to set it on fire, and I still want to set it on fire. Honestly, sometimes I get a little angry and a little annoyed when I see a lot of these books getting hyped up, because it's obviously like for the wrong reasons, or it's just reasons that really hurt me deep inside. Like, I actually have a reason to hate it. It's not like just like something that I'm hating because I hate it. I mean, like, Josh and Hazel might be something that's just because it's a me thing, but I feel like the friend zone was a definite we thing, but like lots of people just decide to overlook the thing, and I'm just like, guys, but there's the thing. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time, and if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Bye.